Hi YouTube, welcome to my channel. So I'm going to be doing a review of The Disaster Artist, and I'm gonna love talking about this, and I hope that you love watching me talk about this. But before we get into it, please go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can get notified of all of the things that I have in store for you. And then if you like this video, please like it, please. So The Disaster Artist is a movie about the making of the movie The Room. Now, I had never seen The Room before they started promoting this movie. If you don't know what that movie is, it is a movie that was made by Tommy Wiseau, who in The Disaster Artist is played by James Franco, who self-financed it, directed it, wrote it, and then also stars his buddy Greg Sestero, who is played by Dave Franco. So I thought it was interesting. I didn't know what any of this was about, and then I see that Dave and James Franco are in the movie together, and they're brothers in real life. I thought that they'd be playing brothers, but they're not. Tommy and Greg are not related. They're totally different people. Now, Tommy Wiseau is this enigmatic man who kind of has like this vaguely Eastern European accent. He tells people he's from New Orleans, he's from the Bayou. Ain't nobody buying that. He has all of this money to burn and nobody knows where it comes from or how much of it he has. And he has this passion for making this film. Now he meets Greg Sestero in a acting class. So Greg is a young man, 19 years old at the time of this, and he has acting aspirations. So they moved down to Los Angeles together in Tommy's place. Again, he has this place in LA that he does not live in, but he can afford it. And they decide to make this movie together. So again, Tommy is this weird guy. He doesn't want people to know anything about him or about his background. He is like this weird and crazy guy. And he brings Greg along on this ride. And so it's the making of this film that has since it's a really bad movie. The Room, The Disaster Artist is good. The Room is a very bad movie, but it has gained this cult following. So people treat The Room somewhat similar to the Rocky Horror Picture Show, as it being sort of campy, has this cult following. There are screenings held around the world, and the people who love this movie or love like laughing at this movie go to these screenings to check it out. So The Room was made back in 2003, and since then, like I said, it's gotten this cult following. But its inception was this supposed to be, in Tommy Wiseau's eyes, this very, dramatic drama about love and betrayal. You're with your lover and your best friend, and so he poured his heart out into this film and a lot of money. They estimate that he spent roughly $6 million to make this movie, which, if you look at the movie, you're like, what did they do with $6 million? This movie is pretty crappy. It's pretty terrible. But the Disaster Artist, they kind of show he blew it on a lot of things that maybe they didn't need. So when he went to go screen it, the people's reactions to it were not what he wanted the reaction to be. And so for me, as a person who I consider myself a creative, it's really hard to put things that you make out there for the world to criticize and to judge. And so I can see how it would be very hard to put something out there that you put your heart and your soul into, and then people like laugh at it. And they find it comical when you were meant to be completely serious. So that's got to be hard. And in that way, my heart does break for Tommy Wiseau, because he is very earnest about it. He really tried very hard to make the best movie he could possibly make, and it just didn't turn out the way that he expected it to. It was still a success, but it wasn't the type of success that he was looking for. Oh, one thing that I found very cool was that there were a lot of small appearances by comedians, sort of just like sprinkled out throughout the film. So you had like Megan Mullally, Gerard Carmichael, Jason Matsukas, Hannibal Buress, among many others, kind of pop up through this film. And it's kind of nice, like if you're a comedy fan like I am, it's nice to see these people come and go. So maybe you don't know exactly who Jason Matsukas is if you're not like a fan of The League or like The Kroll Show, but if you are, and you know this guy, it's kind of fun to see him come in a movie like this. And the same thing with all the others. It was just kind of a joy to see that. I was going back and forth a lot on whether I should watch the movie The Room before I go see The Disaster Artist, so that I would at least have a little more context. At the end of the day, I decided not to see The Room and just went to go see The Disaster Artist. And kind of at the beginning, I was kind of kicking myself a little bit for having done that. And but because at the beginning of it, they have interviews with sort of all these famous people who knew about this movie before and their experiences with it. And I'm like, oh man, I really want to know exactly what they're talking about, but I haven't seen the movie. But then sort of as the movie went along, I was not that upset about it, not having seen it. And then at the end, so these aren't after the credits, is like kind of before the end credits roll, they show where they had filmed these scenes like almost exactly frame by frame to the original. And it is uncanny. It is incredible. It's got to be very difficult to pull that off. And they shot a variety of scenes and they just played them all side by side. And it was really, really cool. Now, I did eventually see The Room. After that, I think maybe the day or so after I saw The Disaster Artist, and it's available on YouTube for view. I'm not going to put a link to that because I do feel a little weird about not giving the creators credit. I mean, it's not their YouTube channel, it's some rando's YouTube channel, and so I'm not going to give a link. But if you want to find it, you can go search for it. It's on YouTube. Well, as last time I checked, it was on YouTube. I don't know if it got yanked or not. Otherwise, maybe you can find some showings in your area that are showing The Room, because like I said, it kind of is shown in different theaters throughout the country and throughout the world. So perhaps it will be somewhere near you, and that way you can get the money and the proceeds to the guy who spent $6 million making it. So yeah, it was very funny. I think James Franco was really good. I remember when I saw the trailer for this and saw how he was speaking, I was like, this is rather weird. But when you see the real guy, it's like Tommy Wiseau, yeah, he talks like that. I think that James Franco almost nailed him. And I think that he did a really good job. And Dave as well did a good job playing Greg Sestero. But if we're being honest, I think Greg, the real Greg, is slightly more handsome than Dave. Don't tell Dave I said that, please. All right, so all in all, recommend. It is a recommended watch. It is very funny. It is very cool to see everything fall apart and how it shapes together at the end. James and Dave Franco did a very good job. Seth Rogen is also in this movie, and he does his Seth Rogen thing. And I think it was a very good movie, and I don't think it was... At the end of the day, I don't think it was shitting all over Tommy Wiseau or this whole project. It really feels like these are guys who are intrigued by this movie, intrigued by the man who made it. And so this was an attempt to sort of peel back the curtain to show everybody else what happened behind the scenes, to kind of get a more of an appreciation for this film that people may not have had before. So yeah, I think it was done in a very good-hearted place. I don't think that they were malicious about it at all. They called it like it was and how it is. Some things are negative, but if it happened, it happened. If it was a negative thing that happened, you can't spin it to make it positive. It was bad, but I think that they were fair. I would say at the end of the day, they were fair and they were good-natured about the whole enterprise. So yeah, that does it for my review of The Disaster Artist. I thought it was a really good movie. I would tell you to go see it. And so if you would like to see more of my reviews about other movies, then please hit the subscribe button. Again, notification bell if you want to get all of those notifications, because you are not going to remember to come back and check out my new uploads. So let YouTube let you know when I do that. And I will see you on the next one.